This is Lemon's Car Spotting. You post to Instagram with the hashtag Lemon's Car Spotting. We pick the hooptiest.
They are so incredibly terrible.
And which one we want to become a real Lemons build.
It does car-like things. I've been pushing for one of those in Lemons too, and those are very affordable.
It is Lemon's Car Spotting. Nick and Eric, you guys know the drill. Lemon's build here. Hooptiest here. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
That's Lemon's build. I've got the hooptiest. Let's go.
All right.
Oh, man. Cue the theme.
Oh.
It's a Daihatsu Rocky. Look at it. It's neat. There's nothing wrong with this thing.
No, none whatsoever. Also, Chevy Fleet Line in the back panel.
Oh yeah,
panel
right.
wagon.
Yeah, some kind of panel wagon thing.
About the Rocky, though, I mean, we've talked at length many times about vehicles I have never seen in my life in my region. The only Rocky I've ever seen was on a Lemons rally, not part of, but on a Lemons rally on the ferry from Bremerton to Seattle. It was just there.
Well, and this is Eastern Washington Car Spot.
There you go.
So this could very well be the same one you saw. Although that being said, I remember when Daihatsu came out in America, and I remember the Daihatsu Charade being sort of around, and I actually remember the Rocky being sort of around. So, I don't know too much about Daihatsu. I think they've since been bought by Toyota. But it was one of those companies that I think is a totally respectable and quality manufacturer in Japan. And because it was new and sounded funny, it never caught on here. It's sort of like Daewoo, except that Daewoo, I don't think is maybe the quality part is maybe not quite as applicable to Daewoo.
No, so much.
So,
Daihatsu is mostly known for building K cars. Little 63 horsepower, 600 cc, city cars.
Right.
So it makes sense that a mini SUV would be in their wheelhouse, really. And the Charade was it was like the biggest
car they made, probably. Yeah. And then that was the time when the Festiva and the Metro were a thing, and so Daihatsu figured, hey, maybe we'll get in on that action. But yeah, like this compared to a Tracker, I think this is a better looking car. I can't speak for the mechanicals, and boy, owning one now might be a challenge. You might have to do a Tracker swap underneath it just to get the parts availability. But I don't know. It's a cool looking car. It's got big flares. It's nice and boxy looking. I like it.
Yeah. Well proportioned.
Yeah. Oh, man. Back to the J body. So it's a Cavalier Z24. We have said numerous times, make a Lemons team that Z everything. You're towing with either a Z71 or a Z66, and then your Lemons cars are a Z24, a Z26, and a Lumina Z34. Camaro Z28 if you want, but that's the obvious choice.
Boy, in all of my travels through the Midwest and all the J bodies I've seen, I've never seen a Z24 with this paint like the Z28 had. Like this is, everybody remembers seeing this color combination on the Camaro.
Yeah.
I've never seen it with the body kit that has the kind of the up line, I guess you'd call it, after the wheel.
Right.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
kind of dig it. It's like a mini Camaro, really well proportioned.
Yeah, it really is. It would be just as much at home at the Circle K as a Camaro, and that's high praise. Okay. Now earlier you mentioned KCar, KEI car,
right,
and now we're on to the KCar. Spelled K-car. There appears to be a fluid coming out of the bottom of this vehicle.
Oh, man. I want to say all the things, but it's not coming out. It's so horrible. It's just
also,
so
like,
bad.
all crooked has all of the hallmarks of like it blew up around the corner and it's like, oh god, I got to get it into the parking lot. Oh god, and then just like slammed it in all crooked and like that's it. It's over.
I'm picturing like a 60-year-old guy with crazy hair being like, well, it's the big one. He knows it's the end.
Oh man. Well,
it has all of the hallmarks of Chrysler trying to make the KCar not suck with the Landau and the wire wheels. This is
it's the
like Chrysler LeBaron or a Fifth Avenue or whatever.
Right.
That is you're paying another $9,000 over an Aries for this for some reason you can't quite explain other than it has these piled seats.
Yeah. Oh man. What a thing. We've talked a lot about K cars and how you actually probably shouldn't ever bring one to a Lemons race. But it's on the short list of cars you think of when you think of Lemon, both as a racing series and as a general concept.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump the gun here. I'm the one picking the Lemons build. This is definitely not it. Just don't do that to yourself.
Spoiler alert, the Lemons build is going to be chosen from 9 vehicles this week.
That's right.
All right. Okay. Oh, it's a 200 SX. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
So like an S12. Yeah. So the S13 is the first one that really had mainstream enthusiast following. I don't really know why, to be honest. I mean, in Japan and other overseas markets, the S13 was the first to have the turbo SR20 motor in it, which I think is what made it popular. Here we got the truck motor was put into the 240, into the S13. S12, I don't know what it would have had, but why you couldn't swap any of those motors into this, I don't know.
Yeah, we have a S110 or something is the previous generation. We've had a couple of those. We haven't had very many of these, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
They have some weird engine that, was only ever sold here for a couple of years or just in this chassis. So they're really hard to find.
Right.
So, I mean, why wouldn't you put an SR20 in it when you inevitably blow this thing up racing Lemons? This is obviously the cleanest one of these in the entire world. So.
Well, the guy's a Dodge Avenger owner. So, he's, as you can see from the driveway or whatever it is.
No, it's definitely an Avenger.
So, he's, he's a man of taste and he knows how to maintain a car. Yeah. All right. Next up. Back to El Dorado town. I don't know how we're going to actually quantify this because we don't keep any kind of statistics on Lemons car spotting, but there are frequent flyers that we've talked about, and the El Dorado is definitely one of them. And so, I think we spent all of our talking points on the El Dorado on the first one we saw, thinking that it was going to be the last one. And now when one shows up, we can't talk about it because, big block, front wheel drive, use that drivetrain for your Fiero. I don't know. So I don't know what else to say about El Dorado.
Well, let's zoom in and see how many different browns we can.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah,
the body color's 1.
Yep.
The hubcap, I think it's a hubcap, is 2.
Yeah.
The Landau is 3. Boy, the roof looks like it's a different color.
It sure does. I was going to say the trim strip on the door also could be a different color brown. And
the 5.
The little plastic caps at the front of the front fenders. I think that's going to be a different color too.
And let's not forget the steering wheel looks to be a dark brown, and the interior is a beige, which will count. So I think we're up to 7 or 8.
Yeah. If you want a 7-tone brown vehicle, this Cadillac El Dorado is your choice.
That's a fine Lemons rally machine is what that is.
100%.
Eat up the miles. And it's, of course, brown over brown over brown over brown over brown over brown over brown. So
was that 7? I wasn't
7. Yeah.
I was in I had the job of effects, like special effects guy for a middle school play. And at one point there was a Foley effect where it was a clock striking midnight. And so I had to manually like ring a bell, and like halfway through I just lost count. I was like, I don't know how many I've done. I just don't know. And so I just like randomly stopped at one point.
I was going to say, there's 2 ways to go about that. You either randomly stop when you think you're close, or you just keep going.
Keep
going.
So I randomly stopped, and I figured, well, nobody, who is counting the number of, whatever. And then like several people came up to me like, the clock only rang 9 times. All right.
Whatever. I don't have a future in this. Backstage bell ringing guy. Okay, rally caravan or rally. Oh wow! Not only is it rally,
what's happening? Yeah.
It's got, you can see the transfer case and front drive shaft. This is actually like a 4x4 Grand Caravan or similar.
How? I mean, it must be on something.
Yeah. Although, again, how?
They never sold an all-wheel drive Caravan that I know of.
Well, they did, but it was like, it was a transverse front engine situation. And this clearly has like a mid, the transfer case is in the middle, which means it's behind the transmission, which means it's probably a longitudinal situation, like a real truck. And it's got leaf springs in the back. So yeah, it probably, although then it's got what looks like coil spring struts in the front. Wow.
Well, I feel like Eddie Hart, who spotted this, nailed the caption with, okay.
Yeah. This thing is a deceptively complex engineering accomplishment, as opposed to that Saturn on the K5 Blazer we saw last week.
Yeah.
This thing, there's some real engineer stuff happening here. So if you know what's going on, let us know.
It's spectacular, whatever's been done to it.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. All right. Next up. Oh, wow. Are we not in this country? We are. According to this, it's Brooklyn Car Spotting. It's a Nissan El Dorado.
El Grande.
Oh, yeah. El Grande. Okay.
Well, let's just call it an El Dorado, which I think means in the grain, but I'm not sure.
I couldn't quite read the back of it. Well, vans like this are very common in Japan. Toyota Alphard being one of them.
Do they all have awful names?
Yeah. Well, they don't sell them here, so they just, they do what a lot of overseas manufacturers do in their home countries, is just say something that sounds okay in our native language.
Yeah.
So, interestingly, I mean, it would be considered a minivan in America, and thus has all of the unfair stigma against minivans. But over in Japan, these are widely used as like executive transport, like instead of a limo or, instead of a fancy, like whatever town car, you'll get in the back of one of these. And some of them are set up with like the, private jet style luxury lazy boy seating. And there's a lot more room than there is in a limo or a town car. So it makes so much sense. And it's just the only reason we don't have stuff like this is for stupid reasons of image. Like, if I'm Kanye West, I'm driving around in an El Dorado. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, that's right. You can fit your entourage in it too. So.
Yeah. I don't know why or how it's here. I mean, this is one of those ones where it's like, I don't think that's 25 years old. Probably illegal to be in this country. But if you're going to risk a felony, it might as well be for something like an El Dorado.
Yeah. It must be a Murano on the title or something like that.
Yeah, right. El Murano.
El Murano. That's right.
All right. Next up.
Ooh, is that a Sonnet?
Yeah, it is a Sonnet.
Now, what is the deal with Sonnet? It's spelled in a weird way, and I forget how it's spelled, but it makes it a different word from, say, the Shakespeare poetry.
Yeah, it's one N and two T's, or maybe it's two N's. I don't know.
So what does that mean? What does that word mean? Like, it does not. It's not trying to mean. It's not a connection to Shakespeare at all. It's like a weird Swedish word or something that means something else. But I don't know.
I will confess that Mike Harrell is probably the only person who can give us a correct answer in that.
Judging from the feedback that we get on Lemon's Car Spotting, he might also be the only person that watches Lemon's Car Spotting. So I think we're in luck. Mike, if you could go ahead and post in the comments, what's the deal with the word sonnet, as in Saab Sonnet? Now, these, I think, mechanically are very similar to the Saab 96 of the era. So I think there were both two-stroke NV4 versions, like the Saab 96.
I don't know if they were two-stroke. You definitely can get the Taunus V4 in it.
Well, and once you can get that, who cares?
These,
pretty much.
These are not attractive cars, I've got to say.
There's like one good angle.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what it actually is, but it's definitely not this.
Yeah, this is not the angle for sure. Although they're really small. I mean, it's funny on some cars, especially old cars, the standard American size license plate proportions, like if it's taking up a third of the back of your entire car, then that's a small car.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, somebody's driving this on the highway, which is also probably not advisable in any way.
No. Yeah. Although Mike Harrell famously towed his Saab 96 race car with his other street Saab 96. No word whether that was on the highway, but
that's a good question.
In any case. All right, next up. Speaking of weird cars, SVX. Now, I probably have told this story before, but I had a friend in college. She lived up in the Lake Tahoe area, and her dad had an SVX. And I went up to visit her at the place in Tahoe once, and her dad, like, oh, you like cars? I got something to show you. Like, opens the garage, this SVX. And like, it's really cool, man. Like, yeah, sometimes late at night, just go out in the Nevada desert, get this thing up to 180. Yeah, that's the best. And I'm like, these are stories that did not happen and clearly aren't true. But that's great, man. Oh.
I also have an SVX story that I maybe have told on here, but I had an ex-girlfriend whose brother had just turned 16, and her mom asked me what kind of car you should get. And I said, well,
oh God,
Subarus are pretty reliable. So, like try and find a Subaru, thinking Outback.
Let me just say you're already on thin ice, but continue.
Well, this is in like 2002.
Okay. All right. Okay. I thought it was now. All right.
No. This is 20 years ago.
Okay.
When Subaru still had some small notion of, there was like a 5-year window when they built really reliable stuff.
Yeah.
So I was figuring,
sure.
You would buy in volume from that era. And my girlfriend at the time called me and was like, yeah, we bought a Subaru. I was like, oh, cool. And then I show up and it is bright red SVX.
Wow.
With the window stuck open. And I was just like, oh no, this is bad. And sure enough, it died within like 3 months.
Well, what was wrong with these? It had the Subaru Flat 6, which later reappeared in the Outback. They were automatic only. I feel like that might have been a weak point. Like, not that it was an automatic, but that specific transmission.
Yep. The transmission was one of the big weak points because they couldn't use a stick at the time because they didn't have a transmission. They could take the torque from the Flat 6.
Right. Yeah. A few things can. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Boy, this one is special, by the way.
Yeah, this one is extra special.
It's got Bondo or mud, or I'm not really sure, mismatched wheels.
We're definitely at a point in the SVX spectrum where the ones that are around are in pretty good shape. because they're only owned by weird freaks who like them. Like, it's difficult to find one. I mean, this one just looks like a hoopty driver. And it's like, yeah, but it's an SVX.
Yeah, right.
So, and the obligatory comment on this original post, which is from Eastern Washington Car Spotting: weird to see such a collectible and unique car in such terrible condition. Yeah, collectible and unique. That's SVX in a nutshell.
Those sure are words that somebody used.
Last car for the week. What?
All right.
It's a Bellels. Wow. Now, we were just having a conversation about these. What was it? So they did this. This is an Isuzu, for those of you who don't know. There was a Bellels and a Bellette. Don't know the difference between those two. There was a wagon, and I feel like that was the question we had, was whether or not they ever sold the wagon in the U.S. Now, they did sell the sedans, which is mind-boggling. I mean, I have never seen one outside of a weird car show. I mean, this one looks like it's street parked. It says it's in Santa Maria, California, which is just wild. And it's a diesel, or the caption says this one's a diesel, but a lot of them were, which is also wild.
You can see it on the fender.
Yeah, the Bellels diesel right on there. Damn, God.
Look, this car is legitimately cool. Like, straight up badass, small production number, at least small sales here in the United States. Super rare. Oh, man. That's so cool. Isuzu actually, their road cars before, the Impulse, kind of really spectacular looking.
I would say that the Giugiaro Impulse is like the last cool looking Isuzu. If
you've never seen an Isuzu 117, look that up.
Yeah,
those are
that.
Cool looking.
That's a cool looking car. Well, Isuzu, of course, became part of the greater General Motors umbrella at some point. And I think to buy, like, you had to go to the GM dealer to get certain.
It was like the truck dealership is where you would buy an Isuzu.
Because what was the Isuzu, the other diesel Isuzu that raced in Lemons?
iMark.
Yeah, the iMark. Why were they diesels? Now it's like it's one of those things. Oh yeah, iMark diesel. No, wait, what? And why?
Back up. Yeah.
But that's a car that was, I mean, God, the iMark was sold worldwide as like 10 different nameplates. It was a Holden, it was an Isuzu, it was a GM, like it was all these different things. This one, I don't know anything about this one and how it came to be here in the first place, and how this one apparently is still surviving today. That's amazing.
Yeah, boy, what a one to take us out on. Damn.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Well, it ain't gonna be the hooptiest, I'll tell you that much. Well, look at my list. God, nothing really super hoopty here. There's the Cavalier Z24 that looked abandoned, 4x4 Grand Caravan, although, again, that one had some real black magic happening with the drive system. I got to go with a car that's capable of 180 miles an hour in the Nevada desert. And yet looks like this. That's going to be my hooptiest because I've never seen an SVX actually running that looks like this. That's an amazing thing.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I have the Lemons build, and before you navigate away, you may as well fire up the Daily Double. Because, I mean, it's the real downside to this, if you were building Lemons, is you can't run with the front glass in, and the front glass is arguably the coolest part of the whole car.
That's true. So, now, why? Well, I know why. Yeah. So I guess the deal is that the bottom section actually winds down. And I guess the issue with that was that the shape of the whole piece wouldn't physically fit down into the door. Right. It's why that it's done in those sections. And
why design it like that in the first place?
Yeah, it really just speaks to the whole process. Well, and then there's all kinds of weird stuff happening in the back of the way that the
lift gate thing attaches to the rest of the body. It's unique to say the least.
Yeah. We have had one of these attempt lemons, and I think in 3 races they got about 17 laps or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If I was building one of these for lemons, I would. The window thing would bother me, frankly, that I would have to ruin the cool window. But you do what you got to do.
Well, what could you do? I mean, you could make this top portion out of sort of like a perforated sheet metal material and then leave the bottom portion open as if the window were open just to maintain the look of the styling.
Yeah, I guess you could. I mean, that probably makes it harder to get out of in a fire. So there's some safety concerns, I guess.
And also, let's be fair, figuring out the window styling treatment on your Lemons SVX is like item number 9,000 on the checklist of things that need to happen before that. So, hey, we're not worried about just, first things first, get one on track and then we'll worry about the windows later.
That's why I was going to say I would find a crappy old Impreza that had been rear-ended and put in a 4-cylinder so I didn't have to worry about all the other problems. But you do it however you want to do it, and rest assured we would love to see another SVX attempt Lemons.
100%.
Yeah, so I think that's going to do it for this episode of Lemons Car Spotting. Be sure to tag your stuff, and we will see you next Thursday.
180 miles an hour. No chance that that's not true.
I bet it was 178 until he put some tape over the hood edges.